Okay, with that knowledge in mind, we're now going to use those 3D skills and create this advertisement for Philbrook Museum of Art. And we're going to be not only using 3D text, but we're going to take another image and make it into a 3D postcard, which is a different type of 3D object in Photoshop. I'm going to start out by creating a new file. Call it Philbrook Ad. I'm going to set the units of measurement to inches, and I'm going to make this 18 inches wide, 12 inches tall, 72 pixels per inch to keep my file size pretty small. Background content set to white, and click OK. I've downloaded the painting JPEG from the assignment section of Blackboard, and I'll open up that now. I'll press Command or Control A to select all, copy it, Command or Control C, then I'll close this, Command or Control W, and then I'll paste it into my new file. In my Layers panel, I'm going to rename Layer 1 Painting. I'm going to create a new layer below my painting layer. I'll hold down the Alternate key and the Control key, or Option and Command on the Macintosh, and press the New Layer button. The Alt or Option key allows me to name it. I'll call it Backdrop. And by holding down the Control Command key, when I click OK, you'll see that it puts it beneath the previously active layer. I'm going to go to my Marquee tool, and starting about a third of the way from the top, in other words, I'm using the rule of thirds here, I'm going to click and drag a marquee that covers the lower 2/3 of the image, and I'm going to fill that backdrop layer, the selected portion, with black paint, and then I'll deselect. Now I'll make the background layer active, and I'll choose the gradient tool, and I'll set the gradient picker to foreground to background, and I'll set the gradient style to radial. I'll press D on my keyboard to set my default colors to black and white. I will swap those by pressing X so that white is now my foreground color, and I'll hold down the Option key, and you'll see that it turns into the Eyedropper tool, and this occurs anytime you've got a painting tool active. You hold down the Option key or the alternate key on the PC, it will turn into the Eyedropper tool. And I'm going to sample her forearm color like this. Let go of it, it goes back to our gradient tool. I'm going to start at the center of the image, make sure I'm on my background layer. Starting at the center of the image, I will click and drag to either the upper left or the upper right corners. And that creates a sort of an artificial sunrise for me. Now I'm going to copy my painting layer, make certain it's active, and just press Command J to copy that. I'm going to rename it Reflection. I'm going to convert both the reflection layer and the painting layer into postcard layers. So take each layer, go to my 3D menu, and choose New Mesh from Layer, and choose Postcard. You'll see that we've got the little 3D icon on that layer, letting me know it's now a 3D object. I'll go to the painting layer and make that a postcard as well. I will take the 3D drag tool and move the reflection image beneath the painting image. So here's my reflection image right here. and I'll go to the drag tool, and holding down the shift key, I'll just click and drag and pull it straight down like this until it just butts up against the edge of the painting. I'm actually leaving a tiny little line there to separate the two. Next, I will merge both of those 3D layers into one. I will shift click the painting layer so that both layers are selected. Then I'll go to my 3D menu and choose Merge 3D Layers. You'll see that there are now one layer, but there are two sub-layers, one for each of the images, the reflection layer and the painting layer. So there are now sub-layers of the painting layer. I'll double-click the reflection sub-layer to open up the PSB file. You'll notice that it is a PSB file, just much like a smart object. And I'm going to flip the image vertically. So let's use our free transform tool. Right-click inside it and choose Flip Vertical. I'll apply a layer mask to it with a linear gradient. So let's go down to the bottom here and click on our layer mask button. Go to my gradient tool, making certain that my foreground is white, background is black. I will choose foreground to background from my color picker, and I'll choose the linear gradient. Starting at the top of the image, I will shift drag to the bottom to mask off the lower part of the picture. I will save the file and close it. In my 3D panel, I will go to the reflection sublayer, find the reflection surface, and go to Properties, and I'll cut the opacity down to 60%. My diffuse color by default is set to gray. That's going to give kind of a grayish cast to my reflection. So I'll click on that and change that to black. You'll notice that our reflection layer is a little bit smaller now than the painting layer. I'm not certain how that happened, but we're going to correct that right now. So let's go to our reflection layer, go to our selection tool, make sure that the scale mode is selected, and we're going to scale that up just a little bit, just so it's the exact same width as our painting layer. Next, I want to rotate both the picture and the reflection and move them off to the side a little bit. So I will click on in the 3D panel, I'll click on the painting layer, and then I'll shift click on the reflection layer, making certain that our 3D mode is set to rotate. Move my cursor over to the rotate handle to where it says rotate around the y-axis. That's going to be on the red control arm. And I'm just going to move that like this. Then I'll toggle over to the scale, move my cursor to the very center of my widget here where it says scale uniformly, and we'll scale that down a little bit. Press Shift V until we get to the slide tool. Find the y-axis move handle, and we're just going to move that up like this. Move it off to the left like that. something like that. Okay, so now let's add some 3D text to our advertisement. Let's go to our Type tool, and I'm going to set the font to Myriad Pro. The style will be semi-bold. The size will be 150 points. I'll type that in manually. Left align, set our color to white. And I'll type Philbrook Museum of Art on 3 lines. I'll select all 3 lines of the text and adjust my tracking and my leading. Again, I want the letters close together and the lines close together, but I don't want them to be touching. And again, the quick way to do this, with the text selected, hold down your Option or your alternate key, use left and right arrows on your keyboard to adjust the tracking and the up and down arrows to adjust your leading. Then click on your check mark to commit. With our text layer selected, we'll go to the menu and choose 3D, New 3D Extrusion from Selected Layer. We'll select our text layer in the 3D panel. Let's find the extrusion material and go to the Properties panel. We're going to change the diffuse color by clicking the color picker that's right next to it. I'll move this color picker out of the way. I'm going to move my cursor over to the image of the girl, and I'm going to click on the green skirt, and that's going to select that color for my diffuse. Then I'll go to the 3D panel and choose the text layer again. I'll go to Properties, click on the Deformation button at the top. I'll set the extrusion depth to 1000. I'll set the twist to 45 degrees. And I'll set the taper to 35%. And the horizontal angle to 120 degrees. And you can see what it has done to my text. We've twisted it and extruded it and tapered it off. I'll go to my Rotate tool, and we're going to rotate that around like this. Back in the 3D panel, I will choose Filter by Lights. And I'll add another infinity light by clicking on the Add Light button at the bottom. I'll choose New Infinite Light. I'll make this second light shine below, and I'll go to the Properties panel for that light. And I'll cut the intensity down to about 50%. I'll set the shadow softness to 100%. Let's go back and choose Infinite Light 1, go to the Properties panel, and here I'm just going to adjust the softness only. setting that up to 100%. And then I will click on the render button at the bottom of the properties panel. Again, this is going to take a while to render. Okay, so it's finished rendering now. It took 15 minutes for that to render. Again, I'll go back to my layers panel and click on any other layer, and you see that you have your finished project. So complete this and send this to me on Blackboard. No need to send me the practice file, just this finished artwork. Make certain that it's looking good. The 3D tools are kind of tricky to use. They take a lot of practice, so don't expect to get this right on the first time. Spend a lot of time with it, make it look professional, and look forward to seeing what you can do with this.